Hello, everybody, and welcome to Feature Friday, which is on Sunday this week. Number 43. I apologize for A, not having a stream earlier, B, having it kind of late today, C, not really having terribly much to show this minute, and D, not having last week's stream up on YouTube. Well, the real version. A lot of this has to do with the fact that I just got home on break Saturday morning, and I spent today visiting some of my relatives, my grandmother in particular. So I've been kind of, busy spending time with my family and whatnot. But here I am now, and yeah. So, without further ado, I suppose let's boot up Quaternion and see what's new. So, it still takes a long time to load this level. In particular, I think it's Ball's push-off that's the culprit, but I'll figure things out in the future. Alright, so we're in the level. Now, what's been changed this week is over in this section over here. Namely, there is a glitch in the respawning system, and I have fixed it. So, yeah. Give me a moment to solve this puzzle really quickly. Spoilers for this puzzle, by the way, although I probably don't have to say that at this point. Oh, come on. There we go. Alright, so now over here, if I go up here, this pain section, I still haven't updated the section from Lee's changes. I'll have to do that at some point. Watch what happens if I push this ball off. Give it a second. Boom! Respawns entirely. So yeah, oh, well, okay, well I'm not going to respawn. The sky is falling. And this will work for any ball in the level. You push it off a cliff, and after a while, it'll show up back where it started. So this is what was supposed to be working last week, incidentally, but it was glitched. In particular, when the ball reappeared, it would go flying off into the distance. And I had no idea why that was. Well, I figured it out, what the issue was there, and it turns out that the set velocity function wasn't working on these balls. So it would respawn, but still have all of its momentum from falling like hundreds of torque units. So, as you may be able to guess, that didn't exactly work too well. So, yeah. So, going to be honest with you guys, that's basically what I did this week. I was busy with some schoolwork and some other stuff, and yeah. So, I'm gonna make it up to you guys, and rather than just say, okay, that's it, that's the stream, go do something else, in an attempt to try to keep the stream a little bit longer, I'm actually gonna do some live coding, like right the heck now. You'll get to see me actually code some of this game. In particular, I'll be fixing a couple of bugs. So, one of these bugs is, it has to do with the skybox. If you look, you see that the sky is rotating. That's because it's a DTS. But if I say switch to the camera view, you can see that the sky is actually following the marble and not the camera, because the sky just sort of disappears into the distance. The sky literally falls. I guess you could call this a Chicken Little glitch. So this should be fairly simple to fix. If I can find the code for that. Here we go. Yeah, P here represents the marble. But what I actually wanted to follow isn't the marble. I actually wanted to follow whatever you're controlling at the moment, whether that's the marble or the camera. Well, there is in fact a function that just gets whatever you're controlling at the moment. It's called getControlObject. Alright, so if we open up Quaternion again, that should fix the glitch. But if my experience working on this game says anything, it's that if something should have fixed a glitch, it probably, like, didn't fix it and also introduced another. So, yeah. So now if I start using the camera, I can fly the camera around and the sky is now following the camera instead of the marble. Sweet, so that works. One interesting thing I'm noticing, though, is that it seems to be moving the sky's server object instead of the client object, which would be a little bit slow. So let's take a look here. Yes, I'm calling setTransform on this object. Now, if you'll give me one moment to take a look here, I should be overriding setTransform in this. Yes, I am. setTransform calls setTransform B. And if it doesn't have a physics object, it calls setTransform A, which just calls regular setTransform. What I should be able to do, though, is find the... here we go, get client. That's what I'm looking for. So if I plug a get client into there, I should be able to solve that. As long as... yes. So on add, it calls force net update. This is indeed a game base. Force net update will make sure that the object syncs across from the server, which is what's necessary in order to ensure that it will actually update. BPX, I don't think your bridge sucked per se. I mean, I actually kind of liked it. But if you want to redo it and make it better, by all means, go ahead. Right, so now it's moving a lot more smoothly, which means that it is, in fact, updating the client object. Wonderful. There's one more glitch that I want to look into here right now that it's been bugging me for like months, but I just haven't bothered. So like if I exit the level, oh boy, isn't this fun? So I believe what's happening here is the physics engine is still trying to make callbacks, but I've left the level, so nothing exists anymore. I can start another level and it'll be fine, but as it stands, this is an issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if there's some way I can clear the physics world. Now, I have no way, or rather no idea. Yeah, I have no idea whether this will whether there's even a function for this in my engine currently. So now comes the fun part. Time to open up Visual Studio and do some engine hacks. Oh boy. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight into what it's like to actually code this stuff. It's definitely fun, but very interesting. Okay, so Visual Studio is opened. I'm going to open this project called Quaternion Plugins, and what you are about to see is the engine code for Quaternion. Dun dun dun! And in case it wasn't obvious, this isn't my actual name. Ah, Ice Theories. It's good to see you in the chat. Those of you who don't know Ice Theories, he's a friend of mine from elsewhere. I'm not sure if he wants me to specify where. Let me ask. So, here's some of the code for Quaternion. I've got sort of the guts of it here. This physics file, I might want to... Is there a way I can toggle line numbers? No, wait, it wouldn't be in this. Or would it be? Alright, so this is one of those things that I'm always doing when I'm coding, is Googling stuff to try to figure out how to do it. Okay. Tools, options. Ah, here we go. Text editor. Line numbers. Boom! Okay, So I've got line numbers displaying now. As you can tell, this file's a little bit long. So I might have to, refactor some of this at some point, but there's a lot of physics code. Everything is handled here from, what you're seeing here is how it calculates the next node in a path for a moving platform following a curved path. This is a bunch of physics code that it's doing to try to remove internal edge collisions. Fun fact, it doesn't always work. Here we have the code that actually makes objects in the world. What do you know? This exists. BT Reset World. Okay, so BT Reset World is a function then, and what I want to do now is look through all the script code to see when I call it. I'm seeing I call it here when you change levels, and just when the physics first initializes. Actually, I believe this is called every time, but no harm in calling this too many times. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call it in onClientLeaveGame. This function is called when, well, if it wasn't obvious, when you leave the game. Okay, Ice Theories has given me permission to mention the fact that I know him from school. So that's where I know him from. So I'm going to put another call to BT Reset World in here, and hopefully what that will mean is when you leave a level, it will completely clear everything that was in the level. Ice, pay no attention to the fact that these menus are incredibly glaringly bright. I mean, BPX, where else would I know him from? Because, you know. So, yeah, that's true. I could know him from, like, another game, another online community. He could be, like, Undertale trash or something. I don't know. So, let's see if that worked. Here we have a room with a lot of bodies in it. It's like a Stephen King novel. So, let's exit this, and... Oh! That feels so good. I hope you have the video turned on right now so that you can see what I'm talking about. Because otherwise this just got really awkward. But, long story short, it's not spamming the console with warnings like it used to. Yeah. So, I mean, this level does have a part of it called Balls Pain. So, you know, it's an interesting level. Yeah, that was a funny story. When I was developing this level, at one point I had a section where so there's a Marble Blast level called Pain. And this level so right here, this stuff, these errors at line 65, and then these errors, well, they're not errors technically, they're warnings, but I'm gonna try to look into them. Anyway, so there's a level in Marble Blast called Pain, and this level I call the Balls level because it involves pushing these big big balls around. Don't you love big balls? No. Anyway, pain. Yes. So there's a Marble Blast level called Pain, and then there's a part of this level that's based on that. So it's the Balls Pain section. Now the format I'm using for the models that the physics engine uses is .raw, R-A-W. So all of these combine to create the unfortunate incident wherein one of the data files for this level is called ballspain.raw. It's like the most unfortunate sounding thing. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's kind of, never mind. So let's take a look through here. So, one of the great things about Marble Blast, and this is part of using an interpreted language, although I guess you could do this in compiled languages as well, is if it prints a warning, it tells you what file it's coming from and where in that file. So I see there's a warning being generated by the 65th line in physics.cs, and then in the 66th line as well. So physics.cs, if I go to line 65, so there's that issue. Okay. So as you can see here, it's using the editor GUI, but the editor GUI doesn't necessarily exist. So I'm going to put in here that code, and then insert another case where the editor GUI doesn't exist, and I'll just set these both to 1. Because if it doesn't exist, presumably it's not awake. So, that should solve that issue. Now the other issue I was getting was sky.cs line 12. Right. Okay, that should fix that. And then audioprofiles.cs line 121. It's actually Control-G. No, wait, this is server audio profiles. It's a different audioprofiles.cs. I'm a derp. There we go. Okay, so now that that's settled, those warnings I can't solve. And it looks like it's just those two that I'm getting there. Here's one, gain.cs line 610. These kinds of glitches I wouldn't normally worry about a ton, but, That's strange, though, because find spawn pad should be returning. I see. So sometimes find spawn pad fails. In which case, we should presumably just return again. Okay. So now that that's settled, let's reload the game. So I hope this is interesting to you guys. So you've still got a couple of issues there, but they're not big ones. So, looks like we've eliminated some of the nasty warnings that this game tends to spew. So that's good. At this point, if anybody has any questions about Quaternion and anything whatsoever, please do ask. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. I think I just introduced a glitch. Okay, Ice is asking if I get many questions. I typically don't, but if you want to ask anything, go ahead. Again, by all means. Is this my first project? As a matter of fact, it is definitely not. This isn't even my first Marble Blast mod. I did a mod for Marble Blast called Marble Blast Powered Up that's actually been fairly successful. I can boot that up in a moment if you want to see it. Well, it's pretty great. Yeah, why do I have the hiccups? This is probably my most ambitious Marble Blast mod, though. The fact that I had to basically gut and replace the entire physics engine should tell you something. So, I didn't have to, I chose to, because bullet physics, so much nicer. Bullet is the name of a physics library that I'm using. It has some nice stuff to it, like, well, the original Marble Blast physics engine doesn't really support having more than one thing, like, moving around dynamically at a time. So, it's great to be able to do stuff like that, where you can, like, push balls onto switches and whatnot. I did end up implementing that in MBPU, but it's a little bit glitchy and not entirely physically realistic. Are there any major glitches you're still working on? Oh yeah, there are a couple of ones that I've got to work out at some point. One thing, I wouldn't really call this a glitch, more an optimization, but I'm going to have to recreate several parts of these levels because the loading times are far too great. So, like it'll take like 30 seconds to load a level, and with a PC game in like this day and age, that's unacceptable. So what I'm going to do at some point is redo parts of this level in a format that'll be more conducive to fast loading times. Another glitch is the fact that sometimes the physics won't quite work the way you expect. Like, if you notice, as I'm rolling across here, there are a couple of places where I was like bouncing just on the floor. Like, just it should be a flat floor, but it isn't. And I think there's actually a particular place over here where, oh, it's up this way. Ah, crap. So there are a couple of physics glitches. Moving platforms currently don't work the way I anticipated, and I'm not quite sure what's up with that. But hopefully I can get that figured out. Wonderful, and this is the point where we cheat, because screw it. So, if I drop the marble here... Whoa, that was weird. I've never seen that before. Now that's fairly inconsequential, so I'm not going to worry about it. But look at this. Look at this. What am I bouncing on? There's nothing there. There's, like, it's acting like there's a wall there, but there isn't. What the heck? So yeah, that's a little bit strange. And that's definitely something that needs to be worked out. Bullet physics does have trouble with collisions in the specific case of a sphere colliding with a triangle mesh, which wouldn't be a huge issue if not for the fact that that's basically all of Marble Blast. So we definitely still have work to do on that. I say we. Hi Guy he's this guy in the community. He's hopefully going to be able to help me with some of that. So yeah. Boing. Right, so I guess I can load up MBPU if you're curious to see that. So this is only a partial conversion mod. Like a few things I added, this whole sandbox category as well as the power packs here. Those I added. This button, this up here. So like in the original game you had to beat every level in a category to do the next one. What I've done here is I've implemented a system where you can gain sort of credits, Marbucks as I call them, by completing levels, and then holy frack, I just had a revelation. MBPU has been out for like maybe a year, and I'm just now realizing that Marbucks rhymes with Starbucks. That was not intentional. Anyway, so you can gain those by beating levels, and then like if you have a level that isn't unlocked, I've unlocked all of them at the moment. But you can skip levels by paying to skip them. You can also buy more marbles to use. Like this one's a D20. So yeah. This level's one of the original ones, actually. So why am I playing it? Because I'm obsessed with it. Anybody in the community can tell you that. BPX is asking me how I added the GUI properly. BPX, when you say adding the GUI, you mean stuff like this here and this here and this here and whatnot? Because... What do you mean, what's new? This is just MBPU. Okay, so yes, I use the GUI editor. Now, it's a little bit tricky to do so. You can't just straight up use the GUI editor, and there's a good reason for this. So, when you create a level, here, let me actually demonstrate this. When you create a level, you'll see these things that say object right begin and object right end. And those things, in most levels, those will just be the top and bottom of the level. But here you see, before object right begin, I've got some code to set up data blocks, which are like types of object required by the level. And then after the object right end, I've got some more code to like initialize stuff in the level, define some stuff. You get the idea. Anyway, so GUIs can have a similar thing. GUI files can also have things after the end of the GUI, like extra code required for the GUI to function. The difference between misfiles and GUI files that makes this difficult is that GUI files are compiled into DSOs. So if you open a GUI in the game and try to save it with the GUI editor, it can't save it from the original GUI file. It has to generate a new one out of the objects in the DSO, because it has no way of decompiling the DSO. The problem is that the DSO has code in it that if you save it as a GUI, it won't be able to put that code in. So what'll happen is you'll like open the GUI for level select, and then you'll like mess around with some stuff, and then you'll save it. Then when you open up the game again, the entire level select GUI will be broken. And the reason for that is that it'll look for that code that's there, because it needs that code in order to run. But since you saved the GUI, it didn't save it with that extra code, and then recompiled it without the extra code. So worst case scenario, you might actually have to reinstall the game so that you can get that code back into the compiled version of the file. So that's a big issue you have to be concerned about, and there are two ways around it. Okay? Keep these two ways in mind. Number one is a hack that I think Hi Guy figured this out, actually. You take the DSO file for the GUI, and you copy it. And this is actually what I use in MBPU, so I can show you MBPU. If I go into here, into the UI, you see I have playmissionGUI.gui.dso, and then I have playmissionGUI scripts. So the difference between these two is that this one is the one that I saved with the editor, and this is the original GUI file. This is the original one that came with the game. I just renamed it to scripts. And so, rather than loading just this one, you load both versions of the GUI, this one first, and then this one overrides it. But when it overrides it, the code from this one will stay in there so that it can still make use of it. And in fact, if I open up, I think it'll be in init.cs. It thinks that CS is a C# file, so it wants to open them with, there we go, okay. You'll notice that it loads playmissionGUI scripts and then playmissionGUI. So that's how it works. So that's how that works. Now then, that's one way to do it. The disadvantage of this is, number one, you have to have a second copy of the GUI loading, which is kind of a pain. Number two, if you want to modify the code, you have no way of doing so because you don't have the code in the first place. So, if I may go to marvelblast.com on stream for one moment, I believe under the downloads, is it under extras? Yes. This download here gives you all of the original GUI files. I believe we actually got this from Garage Games themselves. Matan did. And this zip file here will contain all of the original GUI files with the extra code in them, so that you can just edit them yourself and not have to worry about having issues with it recompiling and missing that extra code. So that's the way I would recommend doing in the future. I didn't do that for MBPU simply because this wasn't up when MBPU was in development. And once it was kind of too late for me to be bothered to switch it. BPX, you're also wondering how to open the GUI editor on Mac, because F10 works in MBPU and F10 opens the console in MBG. F10 works in MBPU because, as a matter of fact, I believe this is actually controlled in the script somewhere, and it's just wherever you got the game, it might vary. I forget exactly which script it is. Maybe somebody can help me out here, but there is a script somewhere that maps those keys. Here, let me actually see if I can find it. Tilde, I'll look for, and let me set it to MBPU. Okay. Search for instances of tilde to see where that's defined. Aha! Okay. So if you look in this file, it's in client scripts default.bind.cs. You see here it says global action map.bind keyboard tilde toggle console. If you open up your version of MBG and open up this file, this will probably say F10 instead of tilde. And if you set it to tilde instead of F10, I think that should work. I'm not 100% certain of that, though, that when you do that, it will sort of automatically free up F10 for the GUI editor. I think it will, but that might be defined in a separate script. I'm not certain. One thing you can definitely use as a fallback, though, is if you open up the console, is it toggle GUI? No. Toggle editor? No. I know one way you can do it is you can type canvas.setContent GUI editor GUI. And here you'll get the GUI editor. It won't have anything in here, but if I go to, like, under this drop down, or not. Okay, apparently that doesn't quite work. Well, I don't know. I'm sure there is a workaround, though. So, BPX, if you won't remember all of this, do keep in mind that once I put this up on YouTube, you'll be able to just look back through it. So there's that. Anyway, anybody else have questions? Here, let me Ice. Let me show you some of the cool stuff that's in this. One moment. Here's a great example of a really cool level. Oops. Huh. So as you can see, this whole level loops. It's kind of cool. Also, I accidentally hid the interface, didn't I? Whoops. There we go. Anybody else have any other questions? Ice included. Oh, if you're on a Mac, oh, there's an easy solution to this if you're on Mac. Open up Applications Utilities Terminal. and then type sudo space rm space hyphen rf space slash. I'm not sure if that works. It might give you an error message. You'll have to enter your password to do it, though, because, it's a... It needs your password so it can fix things. Ice asks, how long have I been working on, quote, my version? Or, well, your version is what he said. Depends on which one you're referring to. If you're referring to MBPU, oh gosh, I have no idea how long I worked on MBPU in total. If you're referring to Quaternion, the one I had up earlier with the sort of Tron Legacy ripoff look to it, I believe I started work on Quaternion back in okay, so I started working on Quaternion last June. So we're coming up on 10 months of work on Quaternion, which is actually pretty freaking crazy when you think about it. 10 months. Huh. Hey Ice, when's your birthday? I'm realizing I don't think I know this. Or maybe I do, but I've forgotten. Yes, Ice, I was asking you. BPX is trying to predict your birthday. He thinks it's October 24th. He's apparently not close. Ah, why is Skype showing me notifications? Should be on Do Not Disturb. What the? I can't set myself to Do Not Disturb. I'm changing it and it's not working. Freaking Skype. That's right, it's later this month. Huh. Everybody remember to congratulate Ice on his birthday 26 days from now. Also, Ice, if you want this game, I don't know if there's anywhere you can get it for Windows these days. legally. Now, I'm not saying that you can get it for, I'm not saying that I'm not officially saying you should pirate it. But if you want this game, let me know. Wink, wink, wink. Somebody tell Perks that I'm playing that I'm playing Toroidal Limbo because Ice has never seen MBPU before. Perks, if my stream's not working for you, I honestly don't know what to say. It's Twitch's problem, not mine. Anybody else have questions? By which I mean, does Ice have any other questions? Because he's basically the one asking questions right now. Any other game plans? Game plan. After I'm done with Quaternion, I have a couple of loose ideas of things I might want to do, but I don't want to say anything yet. As far as other stuff to do, like while I'm working on Quaternion, just like, as side projects, I try not to have too many of those because, Quaternion, but I was working on one thing. This you might actually find this interesting. This wasn't a game, but the idea is to create a piece of software to generate music. And currently I have it generating chord progressions. So if you'll give it a moment to load. Hopefully Eclipse doesn't display any incriminating information on the screen. Like, if it displayed like my full name or something, that would suck. I don't see my full name anywhere. So, so this will generate a chord progression. And, it won't be able to play it or anything. It'll just give us notation. So That doesn't make sense. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, you know, rather than try to open up FL Studio to show you guys this, you know, to actually transcribe this, I'm going to show you my other interesting project. This is a fun one I made. It's based on Pokemon. So, give me, like... So let's actually poll the audience here. I want you to make up a name for a Pokemon. Like, just come up with a new Pokemon. If you could make a new Pokemon, what would it be called? And what this will do is it will tell you what, it'll tell you what to, like, what type it thinks it would be. And it does this based on, okay, Gfleedong. So, if there were a Pokemon called Gfleedong, what type would it be? Apparently that would be a Steel-type Pokemon, most likely. So the way it does this is it's comparing sort of which letters come after which other letters. It's comparing that with existing Pokemon. So, like, Pikachu... If I do that, I'm guessing it's going to tell me electric type because it's so similar to Pikachu. And indeed, that's what it does. Truxix, on the other hand, I have no clue what it's going to say. Either rock type or fire type, and notice those two are actually very similar. Dongers of Steel. Oh gosh. So that's one thing this can do, but it also sort of does this in reverse. So here's a good one. Give me a type or a pair of types that you would want a Pokemon to be, and it'll be able to come up with a Pokemon name of that type. So, like, ground flying. So if I make a ground, a dual type ground flying, is this thing working? I'm not quite sure why it decided that. Yeah, I don't know why it's acting up like that. Like, what if I tell it to make a fire type? Oh, I think I know what the issue is. I think you're not supposed to capitalize them. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Horror. Somehow I don't think that horror would be a good name for a Pokemon. Litunfian, on the other hand. Mantins. Why does that sound dirty to me? Skooglefink, you say? What type would that be? Dark poison, apparently. So yeah, give me any suggestion for a name or a PPX, you're funny. A suggestion for either a name or a type, and I'll put it in and see what it tells me. You want to touch my dark Skooglefink. That sounds so bad. I told Skype to quit, and it didn't. So if you'll excuse me one moment. Da-da-da. And Skype. Bang. Okay. Type of Eisendrache. That's apparently electric or I like that I picked up on dragon from this DRACHE here. That actually makes a lot of sense. Ching Chong Rice. I'm not going to comment on how horribly racist that sounds, but that's apparently an ice-type Pokemon. And, like, if you give it one that exists, like Charizard, oh look, fire. I'm surprised it didn't pick up on flying, honestly. Ice says yay. What type is yay? Dark, apparently. The other fun thing is you can technically make a Pokemon of, like, more than 2 types, like fire, flying, dragon, dark. Chombole. That sounds like the derpiest dragon Pokemon ever. Chombole. Olikizor is fire type. Polarium says, man, I feel stupid watching this and having never played Pokemon. Spoiler alert, I have not played very much Pokemon either. I played like one fan game of it once. I wonder what type Polarium is. Fighting. For something with polar in the name, I'm a little bit surprised it's not ice type. But like, oh, like if I put in like Arctic, like from Articuno, then obviously. Okay, H. Perks is ghost type apparently. Let's try some other things. Hi Guy, fighting, Jeef. No offense intended towards Jeef. I'm just going to establish that right now. That is hilarious. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Okay, moving on. What about Matan? Steel. What if I use his username? Ice. Huh, that's funny. Dang it, I was hoping Matan would show up as dragon type, but no. Okay. Mulan. What type of Pokemon is Mulan? Steel and fight. That's actually very appropriate. Whirligig. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. This is gonna start rumors, isn't it? I would just like to establish right now, before anyone asks, I consider myself to be entirely heterosexual. Just making sure we've established that. Alright, what's Ice Theories? Ghost Fairy? So, Fairy Ghost. Interesting. Let's make a water type. You sure that's not a coffee type Pokemon? Barasta! Barasta used foam flower. It's super effective. Alright, so let's mess with some of the parameters here. These parameters, it uses them to sort of determine a few things. So, like, if we set this randomness, for instance, this controls how random the names it generates are versus how much they sort of follow the typical order of the letters. So, like, it was set at 0.7. If I set it to, like, 100, now watch what happens. If we say make a fire type, a wild Zephildran appeared. Or like water. Burr. It's like the derpiest Pokemon ever. It's Burr. Oh, set randomness to 0. I was going to do that, yeah. If you set randomness to 0, you actually get some pretty hilarious results. Like, because if you set randomness to 0, what it's essentially doing is it's saying, okay, what is the absolute, like, most stereotypical name for a Pokemon of this type? So, like, a fire type. Charmagma. Yeah. That seems pretty freaking fire type-ish. Oh, there's some hilarious ones, like, watch what happens if I tell it to make a dragon type. Genius. A similar thing happens if you tell it to make an electric type Pokemon. You get electric. But you get some interesting results. Snoruno, Sealopol, Swantic, Garokor, Archeoto. Archeoto. See, that actually sounds like it could be a Pokemon. Maybe it is one. I don't know. I don't know all the Pokemon, so I wouldn't be able to tell you if this were actually like a Pokemon. Let's make a psychic type. Alright, so, yeah. This will give you the average length of a Pokemon name, so, like, let's be bold. Let's turn this up to 20. Randomness is still at 0.7, though, so hopefully this will be somewhat intelligible. Ramanin Ferrosvilavar. Started Trifle Deantic. Mimsical Fable Fairlier. Crunateritarbarcterus. Apart from the fact that they're incredibly strange, that actually could, that works. Okay, this one's gonna get fun. Set average length to 2000. What type do you want this one to be? I will take any suggestion you have. And holy crap. Okay, so, note to self, don't show Pokemon rather than coding, because I have 9 viewers now all of a sudden. Alright, electric, BPX says. I'm going to make an electric type with somewhere around a 2,000 letter name. And now I'm going to use Notepad++ so that I can actually word wrap this. Alright, how much money are you going to give me if I actually try to read this? Do you guys want me to try? Or do you guys want me to move on and do something else? Any opinions? Read it, you say? Okay. I have to, like, keep track of my place with my cursor to make sure I don't screw the... Actually, I'll use my finger. Marektrisk Trichinchan Finskaus Lectriskididemin Zonal Skipioptricos Kidmar Electrozer Ectrica Chirica Chinkchabuzelven Tilviter Veritanin Chinchan Fiscae Shornectabuzzuxi Chibripelectricus Cori Corintidundulanezol Gonviri Electros Toramentulafi Electrozindernavolte Neonet Whole Neon Electricundus Liquidae Mantulanduri Electri. Dang it, I screwed it up. Okay. Let's start over. Marek Triskrishin Jun Fingsaus Lectris. No, I'm kidding. Okay. And 4 people decided screw that and quit watching the stream. Oh gosh. Okay, yeah. Let's set that back to 6 like it was before. Okay. FFS? What type is that? Fairy type, apparently. Anything else you guys want to see? Holy crap, this stream's been going on for like an hour. I don't know how I dragged it out this long. Carl Sagan is fire type. PQ is fighting type. Einstein is apparently steel type. With steel and electric, I'd almost expect that to be Tesla. Actually, hold on. What type is Tesla? Somehow I feel like that fits him. So, I think I'm going to end this stream pretty soon here. In the meantime, hey, it's 3-folder. You know, it's funny. I've been talking to you guys for a while, and then some other guy just walked in. Okay, yeah, no, sorry, that pun did not work out. Um, so if nobody else has any suggestions or questions or comments, um, I think I'm going to be leaving off here. Um, in the meantime, let me just mention some of the stuff I'm going to be doing this week. So, this week I guess I'll just continue to work on the balls level. I should have plenty of time this week to work on it because, I've got I'm on break. So, yeah, that's pretty great. Well, I believe that'll conclude things for this stream. Um, Next week I will see you all. Oh, the stream from last week still isn't up on YouTube, is it? I am sorry for that. I will get it up. Maybe not tonight, but definitely by tomorrow night. So, with that said, thank you to everybody who tuned in. I will see you all next time. Goodbye.